one of fear, it's over. So what I always do, even if I'm behind Shannon, I will run around her just to approach her from the front. And so, like I said, when I started, about 2 out of 3 people said no, and now about 1 out of every 3 people say no. And so what is it that I've learned from that to double the acceptance rate? When I was first starting, I was always experimenting with words. What are the exact words I'm going to say to allow a stranger to let me take their photo on the street and then really open up to me? I experimented with using the word photograph versus portrait. Do I explain everything, or do I just ask if I can take a photo? And then along the way, I realized it really had nothing to do with what I was saying. And it's all about the energy we're giving off. It's very subconscious, it's very primal. That when you're approaching and talking to somebody on the street, you can use this as parties or whatever, if you're talking to people, it's really the comfort level that you're giving to somebody has not really anything to do with the words that you're saying, but more about the energy you're giving off. If you're giving off a very nervous, excited energy, that will make that person kind of nervous and excited. And that's why it was so tough for me in the beginning, is because I was so nervous. I'd walk up to people and I'd kind of be shuffling my feet, and that would make them nervous. Why is he nervous? They'd ask themselves, kind of even subconsciously. And so what I do now is I just try to be as calm and gentle as possible, and it's hard from 6'4", so I always joke, like, I already have a high voice, but like, when I approach somebody, it goes even higher, and I sound like a woman. Yeah, and so Shannon, what I would do with Shannon is I would just walk up, and I would say, excuse me, is there any way I can take your photograph just like that? Sure. Yeah, and so it's funny because now I've got this large blog and this best-selling book, but almost kind of to stay true to my roots, a lot of times I'll just ask for a photo. If they start to hesitate, and you can kind of feel the no coming, like they'll cock their eyebrow or something, then really quickly, I'll pull out the phone and I'll show them the Tumblr and say, is it popular blog? Is that me? Oh God, look what I'm doing. Oh, it's a strap. Okay, we're good. And so she said yes, and notice that I didn't tell her I was going to do the interview first. I just asked for a photograph. And so I always do, and you guys will notice that the process is escalating levels of intimacy. I don't want to walk up to somebody and say, can I take your photo, and ask you very deep questions about the most vulnerable areas of your life. I just ask for a photo, and then I don't want to back up too far because I don't want to fall off. I'll normally take a full body shot first, and then I'll walk in, and what I'll say is, okay, so what I do is I've taken, and I sit on the ground a lot. If you guys see pictures of me on Instagram and stuff, I'm always on the ground. And I say, what I do is I've taken over 5,000 pictures of people around New York City, and I find out a little bit about everyone I photograph. And I might photograph you while you're talking and while you're thinking, and the questions are hard, so don't feel bad if you can't think of an answer, okay? But one question I often ask is, what is your biggest struggle right now?
I think my greatest struggle is that I don't know what is going to happen to me when I'm older, and I'm just really nervous that I'm not going to succeed at what I want to do, and that my life isn't going to be the way I want it to.
What about you?
The concept of not having one.
The concept of not having a future. In what way? When you imagine this future that you fear, what does it look like, I guess?
The future that I fear is one where I don't have any reason to get up out of bed in the morning, and I just do it because I have to, and not because I want to.
I like that. I like the depiction of how she visualizes this. It's the not having a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I think that's a very kind of visual image. It's a story. Shannon, do you remember the saddest moment of your life? What was that?
The saddest moment of my life was probably in 6th grade when my best friend told me that she hated me and didn't want to be friends anymore.
Wow. Now, do you know why she said that?
Because she thought I had stolen her friend.
So, did you guys repair that relationship?
No.
No. Do you remember the angriest you've ever felt? That's okay. What was the happiest moment of your life?
The happiest moment of my life, it's
Sorry.
it was probably one of the times I've been recognized for my writing, because that's something that I really want to pursue and it makes me feel really good about myself.
What was the thing that you wrote that you were the proudest of?
The thing that I wrote down the most proudest about is probably the first time I was recognized for it, which was a contest I won recently, which is an essay I wrote.
What was the essay about?
It was about one of my family traditions,
Which is?
how we celebrate Hanukkah and just the stuff that goes with it on the first night.
Okay, now I might just sit, in the interest of moving things along and kind of explaining, I might have sat with, she's already said some wonderful things, I might sit with her for 5 or 10 more minutes, but I'm going to let you go back to your seat so we can do that. You did wonderfully. Yeah, sure. Shannon says, take my picture. I like that. I like that. All right, stay right there, Shannon. I like that. She says, you're not getting out of this for free. Yeah, Shannon! Just so a little, 2-minute debrief about what I was doing. So, the first question I normally ask, and like I said, this is very kind of stage managed recreation, and Shannon did wonderfully, is normally something very broad. What is your greatest struggle right now, or what's the piece of advice? And very, very rarely do I go with the thing that first comes out of the mouth. Because I find that normally it's something that's kind of very broad. Like if I ask somebody what their greatest struggle is, they'll say, being optimistic, or I don't take enough risk. And then what I'll do is I'm always looking for something specific, like a story. And so I'll ask, tell me about a time when you had the most trouble being optimistic, or tell me about a time that you wish you had taken a risk and that you didn't. And I'm always looking for a personal story as opposed to a statement of philosophy. And then as you guys saw, then I would kind of circle around the emotions, because I feel that the most pivotal moments, the most pivotal stories, and I'm always looking for stories, the most pivotal stories of our lives are normally ones that have a very strong emotion attached to them. It's really emotion that tells your mind to remember something. And so I find that if I circle around emotions like anger or sadness or things like that, normally there will be a very pivotal story attached to one of those emotions in somebody's lives that is really illustrative of who they are.
Yeah. So do you feel like an artist, or are you a journalist?